Okay, I think I got this going. It's just been, for whatever reason, just wanting to say, I'm not going to connect. Okay, well, stop being stupid, Wi Fi. And now that it's working, good. Okie dokie. So, essentially, what I'm going to be doing is essentially demonstrate the way that I read somebody's horoscope. And it's actually going to be for somebody who is going to be remaining anonymous. And to kind of like give him some help and hi Kayla, and to kind of help him decide on what routes he can take, what his excels are, and how the planets are going to be best helping him, and what he has and what he can how he can work with it. And before I get into it too, I mean I really do have to kind of mention this too. Recently, there was while I was scrolling through TikTok, I know of all the places. There was a there was a a TikTok video that I saw that actually had a, a young adult, but he's 18, and he actually got thrown out of his house by his father for coming out, and he was pretty much on the streets with nothing, no one, and just no. And seeing that, I mean, I had to do something. So took the initiative and am able to get him into a motel where he is right now. And if at any time too, at any moment, if anybody wants to like go down to like my link tree down below, and anything that anybody gives me during this live stream, whatever is given to me, I'm gonna give right to him, so that way he can caretake himself. Because he doesn't have anyone and he doesn't have anything. And at 18, he he doesn't know what to do. He's all by himself. He doesn't need to be going through this. And I'm going to be completely transparent and blunt. Even though I don't know the father, and I mean, I could care less because the way that he, you know, the thing, the choice that he decided to do to his child. Sorry. It's really difficult for me to make myself just see someone and go, oh God, get away from me. Don't come anywhere close to me, because if you do, you probably won't be moving, to best explain it. Yeah, what his father did to him. Sorry, that's a point of no return. And if somebody can do that to their own child, don't care who it is and what title they have or what belief or what have you, there is no justification of doing that to your own child. It isn't. And I could completely care less if it's like some twat deciding to be like, well, the Bible says this. Well, guess what? Fuck the Bible. I don't give a damn about no religious text. No. That's pretty much a young adult that has no idea how this world works. If you're going to find any justification of putting them through this with nothing and pretty much leaving them to die, yeah, that's spit. Because that's pretty much the level of thinking that deserves to be spat on. Because it's just so vile and disgusting to think that somebody deserves to be in that situation for how they are. Because that's, I mean, if we want to be technical, that's not the God way of doing it. That is no way of being, Christ-like. Throwing out your own child like that? That's not what Jesus would do. Just saying. Because a poor excuse of a father and quite an embarrassment. Because I can even also even make a prediction, and I'm not one who likes to predict. He's going to be come back full swing, and he also has planets supporting it in his Navamsha chart. And he has, whoops, give me, there we go. He has the Sun, Mars, and Venus. His Sun is at 192% strength. His Mars is at 159% strength. His Venus is 153% strength. He's going to bounce back from this. And he's going to have a lot of wealth and a lot of security. He's going to bounce back from this. And I hope when he does bounce back from this and is thriving, he does not allow the father to come anywhere close to him. At least in my opinion. Because if somebody's going to, leave you to die for how you are, if you start thriving and if you make life for yourself, if they come back saying, "Oh my God, look at you go," no, you don't let someone like that who pretty much left you to die. You do not allow them to come back in. Don't care who it is and don't give no damns about no one. No, someone like that, they pretty much just burnt the bridge, and you can tell them to piss it forever because they don't deserve to be anywhere close to your success. Hey, don't look at me. They're the one who did it to you. If anything, they should feel extra idiot. They should really look at themselves and like, wow, something so minuscule, so small, and so impractically stupid of outcasting someone, let alone outcasting a child of their own. They don't deserve to have any success from their child at all. None. Because they've shown that, they can't accept and love and support their child regardless of whatever the situation is. He can't do it. The father can't do it. So piss it, stick it, and jump off a cliff. And hopefully there's spikes at the bottom. Harsh, cruel. Well, turnabout's fair play. I think he's in. I can't tell because I'm not looking at the chat. Let me pop the chat out so that way I can kind of tell what's going on. Okay, let's pop this out. That way I don't have to look at myself. I know. Oh, yeah. And if I remember correctly, I believe he just started college, or was like going to a college or some like post high school education, and then this happened. And also, to make matters worse, the child lost his mother years back, which is already hard enough. So the way that this all played out and what the father chose to do, no. Sorry, but doesn't deserve any kind of mercy. And I'm not sure about how his father's side is to him, but if the father acts like that, and if the family members on the father's side aren't taking any action to do something to help, they're just as guilty. Nope, sorry. When we, are trying to be progressive and learn to accept and, love everybody and take care of your own family and, your child, that's not negotiable, because that's supposed to be that he was kicked out and I believe disowned too. But nonetheless, either way, all I can say is, because he's in the UK, if he wasn't in the UK and if he was like close by, oh, well, nukes metaphorically would be going off. I'd be table flipping. But none of that. But that's neither here nor there. But again, well, but in all seriousness though, if anybody like goes into the link tree and actually goes onto the little spot that says support my work, every cent that is given during this live stream is going to go right to him, and he's going to need every little thing. So if you're able to provide something, if you can, because it may actually, help him be fed, help him keep sustaining, and help him keep going and not have to go back out on the road again. No young person deserves to live like that. But nonetheless, I've been going about that for a bit long, but still. For me, it's really, like I've heard about it being done to many, young people. But the incident actually happens, and when you actually see it in front of you, well, at least for me, I'm just speaking for myself, I could not stand idle. Because in a way, I kind of knew how that situation could be. Because I've been there. Nobody deserves to be like that. No one. So, if I can, take the initiative and get someone out of a situation where they, might wind up dead, and I've done it many times for like a very few amount of people. If I can do it, so can you. If you see someone in distress and suffering, do something. Don't just sit there. Oh, things will get better. Get off your ass and help them. You see someone distressed, do something. You don't have to give anything, even just be there and hold space. Help them organize their thoughts, help them have an action plan, and help them stick to it. Help them step by step. Or even helping them organize their thoughts. It doesn't have to be you giving financial help like I did. It doesn't have to be like that. But if you see someone in distress like this, do something. Don't just, oh, well, we're in this together, or stay positive. Bullshit. Don't tell them stay positive, because that's just like saying, oh, I don't want to help. Don't say that. Don't say stay positive, because that's just like a pathetic, like, whatever. No. Because staying positive doesn't do jack shit. And I'm being point blank. Stay positive. How can he stay positive if he doesn't have a roof over his head and is barely surviving? How can staying positive help? Let's be practical. But nonetheless, let's get into the astrology stuff now. So, okay, let's do this. You can pretty much where you click on, when you go into support my work, you click there, then you'll be able to see like a set amount and also enter any amount you want. When you enter in that amount, you can just put any amount, and that'll go right to my PayPal, and then that'll go right to him. And the thing is, I know I don't have to be doing this, but again, he doesn't have anybody. And nobody deserves to be living in life having no one, nobody to turn to, and being just all by yourself. No support, no nothing. Nobody deserves to live like that. No one. Especially someone as young as he is. Not even knowing how to survive in the world. It's not fair. It's unacceptable to put someone like that through this. And it's going to stop. And if it won't stop, it's gonna. And I mean, it takes a lot for me to get this like agitated about something, but when it comes to somebody's life like this, I take no BS. It's serious. Okay, so let's start with the whoops. Come on, bloody thing there. Let's start with the nitty gritty. Alrighty. Pop that there. Put that back. Okay, so let's start with the basics. Based on the calculations I have, he told me he was an Aries, but he's actually a Gemini. Man, no biggie. I have him as a Gemini Lugna, Gemini Sun, and a Leo Moon, Cancer Mars, Mercury Taurus, Jupiter Virgo, which is kind of very interesting because that's kind of almost the exact same degree placement where my Jupiter's at. Totally not planned. Yeah, happens. Yeah. Retrograde Venus in Gemini. Remember, Gemini ascendant. Keep that in mind. And Saturn in Cancer. Rahu in Taurus, and Ketu in Scorpio. And, just for gigglies, so Uranus is in Pisces, which is going to be quite the thing to, explain. Retrograde Neptune in Aquarius, and the little shithead Pluto in Sagittarius retrograde. Neptune's retrograde, and Pluto is retrograde. And last but not least, the other planet I'm going to mention is Black Moon Lilith. Point blank his ascendant. Exact degree. Totally planned. Okay, so let's take it from the tippity top. With other little points too. We have bloody eggs. There we go. So when we have combustion, we have no planets being, burnt alive, no combustion. We have a planetary war. We have a war between Mars and Saturn, which, to be honest, is quite the war. Mars loses, but Shani wins, which is, to be honest, that's kind of the one you want to win anyway. And we have his Yogi and Avayogi planets. His Yogi planet is Moon. His Avayogi planet is Mercury. So, and of course his planetary strength is at Sun is at 192%, Moon is at 122, Mars is at a whopping 159, Mercury is at 127. Jupiter Guru Brihaspati is at 111. Venus Shukachar is at 153. And Saturn is at 87. That's percent. So, and when it comes to house strength, Lugna stands at 29, which is average, a little slightly above average. Second house is 34, third 29, fourth 34. Any number that is below 28 is deemed below average. Fifth house is at 35. Sixth house is at 25. That's a house you want weak. Seventh house is at 23. Eighth house is at 33. Ninth, 31. 10th, 36. The one with the most points is the 11th house at a whopping 4, which is phenomenally above average. And the 12th, 33. So the only two houses that are weak are the 6th and the 7th. And okay. So let's start with just the regular D1 first. So we have at the start. Oh, and his Karakas too. His Atma Karaka, the planet with the highest degree, which is part of his personality, meaning that this is his soul planet, is Venus. Venus is his Atma Karaka. His Amate Karaka, which is pretty much the advisor to the Atma Karaka, the planet with the highest degree, the second, is Shani, which right off the bat is already a good combination, because you have the two most intimate planets together. You have the servant, and then you have the princess, essentially. You have the servant supporting the princess. And the servant wants to do that. And Venus, being the princess, adores her servant. Who's like a cute old geezer that's like, a pretty lady, I'll do anything. You're so cute. I know. So that's already strong. His Darakarka is the sun. And it's just so creepy because my Atmakarka is Venus. His Atmakarka is Venus. My Darakarka, what was it? I just completely forgot what I was saying because, people in the background. Oh. It'll come back. His Darakarka is the sun. And let's see. So having a Gemini ascendant in Punavasu Nakshatra. Okay. And Venus is point blank conjunct. Well, not really point blank. It's more like a 4-degree difference. But Venus is retrograde too. And Black Moon Lilith also being conjunct as ascendant is another big point. Well, to start, having the sun pretty much close to the ascendant degree in the same sign in the house, because each sign is 30 degrees long, each house is 30 degrees long. So sun, ascendant, Black Moon Lilith, and Venus are in Gemini. So to start off with the sun, essentially he has the placement what I like to call having the enlightened position, meaning you're taking the sun, you're putting it in the head. And essentially, if you've seen artworks where you see like a saint figure or a religious figure, like even like Lord Shiva, Lord Vishnu, Lord Shani even, there's a sun behind their head. You're putting the sun in the head. And that's actually an artistic representation of enlightenment. And in Purnavasu, that's also the nakshatra of the return of the light. And also the story of Lord Ram. So his life is going to be playing out near somewhat how Lord Ram is playing out. So right now he may be off venturing on his own, he may. And I mean, I'm already getting like goosebumps because Purnavusu is Lord Ram's story, and Lord Ram was pretty much was exiled and thrown out of his kingdom by his stepmother, and had to fend for himself. And he had to be out on his own, and he was on his own at 18 too. Lord Ram at 18. But when the years say, I believe it was not that much longer, about like in the late 20s or mid 20s, Lord Ram came back and took his kingdom back. Like I said in the beginning, before I even read anything, he's going to gain and come back full force. So, just saying. So having Purnavusu, the reoccurring thought that he has is that, well, for one, he knows that even though in the times like this where it's too much, something will come back and return the light. And Purnavusu is also symbolized by the arrow that's on point. So essentially, everything comes back in the precise timing as need to be. And since Venus also is in Purnavusu, retrograde, this is a big one. If he has a romantic connection, and if it's a really deep connection, he will not lose it, ever. Because a retrograde Venus, especially in Purnavusu, Venus retrograde has Venus getting close to Earth. Like pretty much it's close to Earth, so that way it appears as like it's going backwards. So the qualities of Venus, he has a lot of Venusian qualities as well. And because of his Atmakaraka, it's one of the key parts to his. So within, internally, he has more of the qualities of wanting to see the beauty in everything, wanting to be actually experiencing the qualities of like saying being able to devote to something much personal and have a more deep one-on-one connection that essentially is more fulfilling than just on the emotional. Because Gemini, even though it's a bit of kind of a youthful sign, it is the sign that's symbolized by two figures pointing at one another, and they're joining at the fingertip. And since it's Purnavusu, like I said, if he has a really deep romantic connection, if he loses it, it's going to come back. It'll keep coming back. If it's a real deep connection, he's never going to lose it. And whenever, especially when Venus in regular transit, whenever Venus steps on his Venus, it will pretty much bring that person back. And also, Venus is also one's ability to bring something back to life. That's what Venus can do. It can take the dead, have them come back and walk again. And since Venus is retrograde, despite, being distressed, somehow, some way, internally, he's still able to bring himself back up. If he gets put in through the worst situations, he'll be able to somehow, some way within, bring himself back to life, to best say it. It's very difficult to say because Venus, in order to understand Venus, you can't speak it, you have to feel it. And when you feel it, there's nothing like it. And when you're properly in the state feeling it, tears will just fall from your eyes naturally. That's Venus. Because Venus, of course, is stereotypical like love, cheesy, woozy woo, the wealth and all the artistic, bling bling. But Venus at its core wants to devote to something much higher than this worldly plane can ever do. And since Venus is also a guru, Essentially, the figure that's going to best help him is actually either a figure that is I'm trying to figure out the best way to put this. It's going to be a figure that is able to, even when he feels that there's no support, his best support system, or what's going to bring him back to like really being like, oh, I'm alive again and not being like in a down state, is when a figure comes in and uplifts him. That's done prior already, which is kind of creepy because there's now it's kind of like feeling like, oh, kind of like what you're doing. Whatever it is, what it is. Happens. And also his current dasha, like the time period of like a certain time period that he's going through right now, is actually the Venus dasha too. Venus and Mercury, Venus dasha and Mercury andra dasha. So in this period, there's going to be a lot of tears being shed, a lot of them. If they're going to be tears of happiness, tears of devotion, tears of fulfillment, tears of being accepted, tears of being loved, being given what has not been given before, or even tears of thinking, is this really happening right now? Those tears are going to come in this period. And when oops, clicked the wrong one. Okay. When he has Venus, Mercury, Sun period start, which would be March of 2023 to April, there most likely is going to be somebody who's going to, like even a romantic interest that's going to come in, pretty much pull him out of death and pretty much restaurate him to a state that he probably has never been in ever. And it's going to cause a lot of tears to come through. But I mean, when you have this figure come into your life, just know if that's the person, you'll know. Because you won't be able to believe it. But I mean, I will say this with all the assurance that I can give. If that's the person that's supposed to be it, like the one that's supposed to uplift you and be there and actually give you this feeling of like this person actually loves and cares about me, like actually does consistently, no matter what happens, if you lose them, they're always going to come back. You're never going to lose them. They're never going to be completely gone ever. They may go, they may leave, but they're going to come back. They may be separated, they're going to come back. They could even be like they could be across the globe and you meet them like when like say if they live close to you and you have been with them for a few years, but then they have to move like across the sea somehow, some way, they're going to be always coming back. Doesn't matter how far they go, they're going to keep coming back. That's it takes me a lot in order for me to even say that's what's going to happen. But this combination in Purnavasu and Venus retrograde, that's what's going to happen. If it's supposed to be them, they will not leave. They'll always come back. They'll be separated, but then they'll be pulled back just by existing. Like I said, it takes a lot for me to say that's what's going to happen. And I don't even say that often because that's kind of being all like, well, how do you know the future, kid? I don't know. But still, sometimes it's when having, intuition merge with the higher planes, it comes in and gets spoken. Then we have, let's see, Moon in Leo in Maga. Actually, I skipped the Sun. The Sun in Mixerla. So he feels the most fulfilled when he's able to either chase after something or pretty much work towards something, but it has to be emotionally fulfilling to him. He likes to pursue and he likes to go after something that makes him feel emotionally nourished. However, though, he has to really know that this is what I want. Because as soon as he gets something, he may not want it after all. So don't go all the way and grab and demand for it now, but instead pursue it for a bit and enjoy working towards something. Moon in Leo in the Maga in the fifth. This can actually show. Uh, this one might be a heavy one, but it is what it is. Moon in the third in Maga. This can actually show potentially a mother who might have been put in a situation where something must have happened regarding traveling or something was miscommunicated, which ended up costing. But however, though, because since this moon placement is in Maga in the fourth pada, it does have a lot of the water element attached to it and in Leo. So whenever you want to reconnect with the mother on kind of like a more spiritual approach, whenever you excuse me, whenever you do anything like playwright, singing, and just communicating about heritage or things of maintaining something that has been like before you and having and expressing like this is essential for the future. When you do that, you'll start feeling more emotionally full and you actually may have recollection or have dreams regarding mother because that's going to activate the mind, but also at the same time, since it's the third house and that's where the sun's at, Leo, it's also going to be activating the sun, which is the head, which is in the head. So you're going to have that enlightenment and that ability to see and become aware of mother still connecting to you on some degree. Next, we have Mangal Mars in Cancer, which is really creepy because that's also pretty close to where my Mars is at in my Western chart. Mars in Cancer is known as the spot where Mars is really pissed off. Like, really pissed off. Like, oh, shoot. But Mars is the planet you want pissed off. Because Mars in Cancer is able to pretty much be able to do things that have to be done to survive, regardless of what must be done. But being able to also be clever in how one exerts themselves. But if if there's any instance where somebody swings at this person's family or whom they're deeming as family, a Mars in Cancer person will not hesitate to literally emotionally rip that person to shreds and pretty much overkill them. Because Mars in Cancer has to stop and pretty much be more, best way to put it, in line of like in the household. So there's a lot of anger and a lot of frustration that's being built up. And when something pushes it to the point where it has to come out, it'll come out and overkill. So most definitely, this is a kind of individual that if someone he knows or deems as like family, if anyone like that is in trouble or is in any kind of harm's way, this placement will most definitely have a result of him actually just completely going to the aid and just completely like making it go, oh my gosh, he just literally just kneed that guy in the face and broke his nose. That level of like, good God, that's Mars in Cancer. Like pretty much think of Mama Bear, best way to put it. Now next is Mercury in Rohini in Taurus. Mercury is in a friendly sign, and actually, believe funny enough, Venus and Mercury have the Pravyatan Yoga, meaning that they're swapping signs. So essentially, they're behaving as if they're in their own sign. So Mercury in Rohini, essentially, his intelligence comes from essentially the ability to and it's also in his 12th. So when he's in a place of isolation by himself and just completely away from everything else, he's actually able to articulate, and actually he would be a really phenomenal writer, storyteller, even writing music, lyrics. And since it's in the first part of Rohini, well, I mean, that's Leo. That's the Leo Pata. So essentially, what you get is this: you have essentially when he's in isolation, he can literally write any form of, say, romance type of lyrics, romance stories, and that's Mercury writing. And the part of Rohini is the moon's absolute favorite nakshatra. It's the most beautiful. It's the most sensual. It's the one that's all about beauty, arts, and just enjoyment. And that's also where Moon finds her exaltation point. So when in a state of isolation, he can pretty much, I mean, if he was to be like an author, a self-published author, he would make so much financial gain from it. So much. So being like a romance novelist, or even making like a love poem collection. I mean, do that. I can bet you he'll make tremendous amounts of financial gain from it. And when we get to Rahu, you'll see that it's like, oh, a lot. Jupiter Guru Padaspati in Virgo in Uttar Falguni, which is the exact same nakshatra as where mine's at. So, Uttar Falguni is the back legs of the bed. And this part of the bed is where it's pretty much the village chief sits, and he gives his counsel to the town. He makes sure everybody is doing their thing, and he advises, and he pretty much informs the changes and what has to be done. So this Jupiter here, you're having it be about contracts, commitments, and expectations being met. And since this is also the nakshatra that is actually owned by a divine that's about the cosmic order, essentially Jupiter Guru, and it's also in the 4th house, which is also mother. So essentially any type of education that is given to him from mother comes from like a cosmic level. And because Jupiter is in the house where he is originally deemed, Jupiter in the fourth shows that in the heart, his heart and his emotions, like his where his heart's at, is going to be his best guide. And he may have to go through a lot of heart work in terms of like emotional reflecting and taking care of his emotional health. He may have to do that, but either way, as soon as he caretakes to that and maintains that, I mean, cut clear direction. Like you won't be able to knock him down or get in his way. And also, Jupiter looks at his eighth house of longevity, and Jupiter looks at the eighth house and pretty much gives him a long life. And then Jupiter also looks at his 10th, where his career's at, and he pretty much gives whatever he learns regarding emotional health and caretaking to other people's health. He's able to give that to like into his line of work. So he would naturally make someone as a great advisor and pretty much really good for helping be like someone to just listen. I want to say like a I want to say like a shrink or not even like a therapist, but just somebody to be there to just listen and give counsel and help restore someone. And then with Jupiter's ninth aspect looks at the 12th where Mercury and Rahu are at. Looking over at Mercury and Rahu, Jupiter mitigates the full parts of Rahu and blesses his own stepchild Mercury. So in the 12th, Jupiter gives blessings of the ancestors to his ability to write. So the ancestors pretty much are bestowing him the pretty much the stamp of approval to whatever you do that's create really extremely creative and sensual regarding writing. That's pretty much your big stamp of approval to be like a novelist, romance novel writer. Then we have Venus in Purnavasu in the ascendant. Wow, like what I said. Venus retrograde. So essentially, the physical body and the thoughts in the mind, your head, and your whole life, you're going to be able to maintain a really youthful appearance, as well as being able to always come back to a state where you may think that you're not. You may go towards like a state saying, "Oh, I'm not the best looking. I'm not beautiful. I'm not whatever. Not my best." You always are going to be pulled back to it, to a state of thinking, you know what? I am flawless. No matter what happens, even if you keep or being hard on yourself, you're always going to be pulled right back to it. Pulled back to knowing that what your worth is. And that being able to let your real divine self speak through it. And you have complete awareness of it because the sun is saying, check Venus out and in the Lagna. And all that is looking at the seventh house. So essentially, other people are able to see that you're able to pull people extremely easily to you. Meaning that you just exist, people just flock, like just come to you, and you're thinking, why are you getting so close to me? I don't even know you like that. And even people would be thinking, I don't know why I'm just drawn to you. I don't know either. But that's also with Black Moon Lilith influencing the placement too. So again, you're going to be maintaining a really youthful appearance, and whenever you're allowing yourself to let yourself just like your skin to the world. Not don't take that the vulgar way. No, none of that. No, no, no. But when you're able to allow like yourself to just not have yourself covered, you'll actually have like the mind, your thoughts in your head will become much more clear too. So when you're covering like this, it's gonna really hinder you and it's really gonna hurt you. When you allow yourself to see, it'll just it'll just automatically take care of itself, and it'll make you younger too. It'll keep that youthfulness too and the beauty. And then Shani, Saturn, and Pusha, which is the pretty much the point where is known as the emperor, the pretty much the highest of all the nakshatras. It is the nakshatra that Saturn owns, and he's essentially right on top of Mars, and they are having quite the fight. What do you want, old man? Oh, you think you're tough, huh? Well, guess what? F you, kid. This is my place. Sit. What are you gonna do? I'll beat you, kid. So Saturn, of course, planetary war. But because since it is the second house, and whenever Saturn is in like in a certain placement, Saturn goes, "Wait a minute, oh, hold on, this is gonna need some time." So the pretty much the sustain, but also since Mars is being involved too, the overkill expression of like being just bottle up, and then explode gets suppressed too. So Saturn from the second also looks at the 10th place, the sign of Capricorn, which is the 8th house. So you also have Saturn saying, "See that? The 8th, your life is going to be a long one." Because you have Jupiter blessing it, then you're having Saturn go, "Hold on, lifelong. Nope. Death, no. Nope." Whenever Saturn looks at the 8th, he pretty much has you cheat death. If you have a near-death experience, you'll cheat death. And since Mars is also looking at the 8th house too, that also shows times of distress. Pretty much you will always fight against it and always prevail. And you'll always also, since Mars is also with this eighth aspect looking at the 9th, you will always fight your way through to coming out of any dark point. And since I'll wait till I get that one. But Saturn, after looking at the 7, 8, essentially your karmic, like the karmic thing of, like most of the karmic is going to get paid, is for you to actually be a part of ensuring that you gain for yourself. Because Saturn's 10th aspect looks at the 11th, which is also the sign of Aries. So having others pretty much see and appreciate you, and you gaining from you being appreciated, that's karmic, meaning that people in this life are going to be paying that back to you. It may take some time, but it will be coming to you slowly but surely. And since it's Pushya that he's in, the great nurturer, over time you'll start recovering and being nourished slowly and steady, and you'll be able to also give it to other people who need it, one person at a time. Then Rahu with Rohini, exactly with Mercury too. Like I said, you really need to be a romance novelist. And if you ever have a chance, like say if you were going to be getting, like if you were to get like a green crystal or green stone, like aventurine, or even having like green socks, green shoes, black and green to be specific, if you were to wear those every day, you'll actually get more creative, inspiration. and you'll be able to think clearly. And it also help your emotional health too. I know that sounds like what is that? That doesn't make much sense. This is what Vedic astrology is. What's the stuff that's written in India, the stuff that's been around for thousands of years. When you know how to read it and you know how to implement it, this is the kind of things that Vedic astrologers may suggest. It sounds completely like what? I'm only using the technique. And K2, the south node of the moon, which is a headless body that's like meh with everything. K2 is in the sixth house of enemies, obstacles, challenges, mitigations, loss, pets, small animals, and pretty much your disease resistance. K2 in the eighth house, I mean the sixth, in Scorpio in Anuradha. So when it comes to ailments, afflictions, meh with it. Oh, I'm sick? No. Meh. Because K2 is also without a head, he's dim-witted, to best put it. So K2, he actually helps take the diseases and breaks it in two, because K2 is a planet that's all about cutting and ripping apart, separating, letting go and detaching from something. So enemies, they're dim-witted. Any enemies you have are going to be completely dim-witted, and they may actually end up pretty much taking themselves out, to best put it. And being Anuradha, from past life, what you mastered is being able to devote to something or someone. And you're able to you understand and you feel like I've already understand the meaning of value, commitment, and withstanding the worst anything can be thrown at me and me sticking. And also, past life, you had a life of the lotus flower, meaning that you've already gone through the worst that life could have given you in the past. So you already know that, because the life of a lotus flower, it goes through a lot of gunk, the dirt, the most vile things at first, but once it comes out of the ground, it's the most beautiful flower and really sought after. So it is that becoming like the lotus flower. And in past life, you've experienced that. And in this life, you understand that beauty, sometimes you have to go through the harshest parts for it. But you'll get to it. That's the D1. Check the chat now. Hey, Gratella, and hi, Ivy, and hi, Sophie. I know that, I'm just... Oh, there he is. I don't know. Wait a minute. How long have you... Oh, I gotta check something. How long have you... I hope you've been hearing everything. Because, yeah, oh, too loud. I've been going and going and going and going. I'm gonna catch my breath. But, whoa. Anyway, as I was saying, that was the D1. It's a really strong D1. I mean, for good Lord Lanta. Where's this bloody thing? Oh, there it is. No, not that. Milkshake just put. Thank you. Why didn't you do that the first time? Again. Sun at 192, Moon at 122, Mars at 159, Mercury at 127, Jupiter at 111, Venus at 153, and Saturn at 87. A lot of strong planets. The only weak one, Saturn, but either way, really strong placements. And when we look into the D9, and the D9 is essentially the chart that shows you what you're going to be progressing into, pretty much what you're going to grow into. we have you go from Gemini ascendant into Aries ascendant. So let me just make the changes real quick. So we now have you go into from Purnavasu into Ashwini. The sun now goes into Anuradha. Moon is at 0 degrees of Cancer, which is a potent degree point, 0 degrees. Mars goes into Swati, Libra. Mercury goes into Ashwini, point blank, conjunct the ascendant, exact degree. Jupiter goes into own sign of Pisces in Rifti and becomes the new Atmakarka. Venus goes into Rohini in Taurus. Saturn gets exalted in Libra, which is a beautiful thing to get. Rahu goes. This is lucky. Rahu is at 0 degrees of Aries. Ketu is at 0 degrees of Libra. Exactly 0. Zippity doodah. Nothing degrees. In other words, what you go into, Rahu and Ketu get mitigated. And when it comes to, and also the D9 is where we look to see like a marriage spouse figure. The significant other that you do get is going to be one who is, talk about having extremely committed and devotion towards you. Because Saturn is exalted with Digbala, direct strength. And he is standing like in front of you because the ascendant is the first and then the seventh is the other person. You have the servant standing before you, just going, "What do you want me to do?" That's where he wants to be. He's at the ready, just wanting to know what to do. Give him the task, he goes off and does it, comes back and asks what's next. So the significant other is going to be like stuck. Like I said with your D1, you're not going to lose them. Once you get them and you see and you understand who it is, you ain't going to lose them. You're not. No offense, butts, or tushies about it. And having Mercury in the ascendant, point blank, you're going to be also becoming way more intelligent. You're going to be having your intelligence grow rapidly, more and more and more, and it'll be growing into a state where you're able to think fast and even also take initiative to provide care to someone and to help someone. Jupiter also looks at Moon in own sign of Cancer, but Moon also gets directional strength in the fourth. So emotionally, in the Navamsha, which will happen after marriage, or usually the second part of life, yeah, oh, that's good. It's good. I have to say, you're going to be way more emotionally fulfilled and more secure in the later parts of life. And you're going to actually feel more full and actually live in a lifestyle that's like, it's simple but comforting, and you'll have the needs met. So right now it might be all ugh, but give it time because you have so many good placements supporting it. a lot of good placements supporting it. There's going to be one more thing I'm going to check, and then pretty much will be the end of it. Just checking one more thing. The biggest thing to do when you can, get yourself a pair of shoes that are either black, white, green, or just have socks that are green, black, green, white of some kind, and have those be on your feet. Because that's going to really activate your ability to write, as well as help support your whole life altogether. So just take it one step at a time, one day at a time. Because once you get through this, you'll be just fine. So just take it day by day. Slow and steady, but once you get through it, you'll make it through just fine. And really, that's really all I got, because the only thing that I'll be saying is the same thing over and over again. So it looks good to me. Right. So other than that, I believe that's as far as I'm going to go. How long of it? About an hour. Oh. I'm going to take a break. And again, if you happen to be watching, if you do go into the Linktree link below, and if you do donate any amount, it's going to be going all to him. Just wanted to remind you of that in case if you want to help him out. Whatever is given, it's going to go to him. So I'm going to end the stream here. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope he enjoyed his chart reading. And see you guys in the next stream later on.